Yeah.
All right.
It's a quick sound check.
All right.
On Blues Radio International, we're here at the 2018 Blues Music Awards in Memphis with Eric and LaDonna Gales. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
Eric, you're such an amazing artist, and people all over the world listen to you and are so moved. And I was incredibly moved hearing you and LaDonna talk about your journey at the panel that Marie Trout ran at the IBCs. I was hoping you could help our worldwide audience understand the journey that you've gone through, where you started from, and how you ended up in the wonderful world that you live in today.
Well, for me, man, I was born right here in Memphis, and came up as the baby brother of 5 boys, and everybody was involved in music. The city as well, and the world is very aware of my older brother that passed away, little Jimmy King, that was an icon in the blues world. And my oldest brother Eugene was one of the original founders of the original Eric Gales band, and I to kind of try to cut to the chase. I wasn't raised up in a split home, divided home, anything like that. Church was a big part of our upbringing, and it's still part of who I am today. So having that be said, the blues is a close relative to that too, because I often say that original traditional blues and original traditional gospel is the exact same thing. The only difference is one has Christian words and one has worldly words. So there's a very strong kinship there. So having that being a strong foundation of the musical side of it, I got this record deal, my first record deal at 15 years old, $250,000 record deal in the 10th grade. And, put the record out, and pretty awesome success came from it. It's time for it to do the next record, and president of the label kind of, that was the first time I would say that I witnessed and experienced disappointment, because the president flew us up to New York just to tell us the second record that we finished, mastered and everything. He said he didn't like it, re-record it. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So I give that little piece of story because I would say thereafter, I began to kind of get intrigued with the street life and, all kinds of things that wasn't right. I mean, I can't say that, nothing was forced on me. I mean, everything that happened in my life was all self-caused. I can't blame nobody, this and this and that. And, that led to a spiral for like 20 plus years for me. And, I was an F5 tornado to everybody that cared about me. And, I tell my story every night before every show. And this year, I would say that that's about 200 plus shows that I have every single night. And I've been doing this for the last couple of years since I've awakened, so to say. And, because I like to set the precedence for, even though that there possibly are people there that have seen me perform before, I take every night as if there's somebody there that is seeing what I'm doing for the first time. And I want them to understand, because there is an element of, there is a level of high emotion that comes from me every single night that I can't help. I can't, no matter how hard I try. And passion and energy. So there are points in the show that's uncontrollable where I just start crying, and it's just because the music is so powerful. And I think about all the things that I've been through, from point A to point B. And fortunately, I didn't die in the process. And so for 20 plus years, that, 5 or 6 times that I can honestly remember, I recall like almost killing myself, and it was perfectly okay for me to live uncomfortably miserable. And that was comfortable for me. And
how was it like at the very depths of that?
It's terrible, man. It's terrible. It's because I had acquired this sense of being that was not being, and just merely existing. And I was cool with it, man. I had done twisted and turned upside down, kind of like the way I play upside down and backwards, but in the most detrimental sense possible. to it being comfortable for me. And you know, taking the story and going a little bit forward, it man, there had to been an outside being beyond me that had an eye on me. In active addiction, I lost 2 brothers and a mom that saw me active in addiction. And I think therein is part of why I get so emotional, because I think about, you know, how they last saw me. And, you know, I play even harder, So that's refreshing for me every night to play my pain. And I tell the crowd often, I say, you guys are the beneficiary of my pain. And if I have to play through my pain to help someone else not go through what I have went through, then I'm gonna keep playing through my pain, because it's a beautiful thing to see someone at the end of a show that say, man, it was so inspirational that I want to quit all this crap that I'm doing in life. So there is a high magnitude of inspiration, and in just letting someone know, man, that if this guy that's up there that's performing in front of all of us can do what he's doing, you know, and I want them to know about Eric Gales, the human being, first, before they hear any note. This is me that I'm talking about first, because I have a story to tell. You know, I got a story to tell, but I got another story to tell that goes behind that. So you get the whole picture of what's going on. And, you know, and then, you know, I met my wife, July 26th or 27th will be 6 years that we've been married. And, you know, she wasn't exempt either. The first 4 years, she went through the roller coaster, and she came into we met, and 2 months later we got married. So it was pretty strong. It was pretty intense situation. And 4 years, you know, my wife was very naive. She come from a church background, and the yin and yang was very apparent here. You know, she come raised up in the church, this and this and that, and you know, like, you know, her drinking a Zima or a Boone's Farm and smoking a little weed was the extent of her partying, and like that, she went all out, you know. And I'm like, man, that was what we done on the way to the party, you know, and that was the appetizer to get started for the night. And really, that wasn't even the appetizer, to be honest with you. But to her, that was like, hey man, we had a ball, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, babe, come on now. Anyway, so I tell her about my story, and she's like, well, I can't believe, you know what I mean? So I was kind of, I don't have a problem in letting anybody know that I actually led a deceptive life to her for quite a while. You know, my wife didn't know what the effects of doing coke all night was, you know, being up 2-3 days in a row. You know, I just told her I've been drinking all night, so that's why my eyeballs are so big and I'm up for 4 days. And she didn't know. She was naive. So I played on that for 4+ years, and my wife, you know, would be over there, and when I finally did go to sleep, she would be up awake with her finger under my nose, making sure I was still breathing. That's not fair. That's not fair. That's not cool. But I played on that for a long time. And if it hadn't came to a head, I can't say that I wouldn't have still been doing that if she didn't know. But like, she was like, you know, something is wrong, man, and you're not telling me. You know, I know what the effects of weed and drinking is, and that's not what it looked like. And something, you know what I mean? So it just came in, and she just basically, you know, I'm not trying to tell her story, but basically she just said, man, I love you so much. She says, the music is not what I married you for. You playing guitar, that's not what I married you for. I care and truly love you. So, you know, I want you to be healthy. If you never played a day else in life, she had CDLs. She was on her feet before I got with her. She said, I'll take care of us. I'll keep us going. So, you know, almost 2 years ago, it came to the point that really, like, her bags were packed, like, ready to go. You know, like, I can't watch you kill yourself. I love you that much that would hurt me to continue to say, I'm hurt every day that I see you coming here and you walking around like a zombie, basically. And I'm still lying to her, telling her, you know, this is just weed and such, this and this and that, but that wasn't what it was. So, you know, I told her one day, I said, man, you know, I went and tried to get help after, you know, but I wasn't ready, you know, several times. So I told my wife to the point to where she didn't believe me. And I come home from pre-production for this middle of the road record, and I told her, I said, you know what? I said, man, let's get in this car, because I now live in Greensboro, North Carolina, where my wife is from. And I said, let's drive this 7 hours to Nashville, Tennessee, to Cumberland Heights, and I'm ready. And she still didn't believe me. Like, all the way driving down there, she just knew I was going to tell her to pull over, and I got to go pee at the rest stop and never come back. And, nobody believed me. But when that day that she dropped me off, man, and she took me there, like, she couldn't believe it. And I was in that room, and it's like, they tell me that I can't walk back with my wife to the car. And she knew I was for real at that point. And she cried all the way back home, because she was like, wow. He went. He did it. And
what kind of strength did it take for you to do that?
Wow. For us both, it's some strength from far beyond. I choose to call him the big man upstairs. That's just me. So, and July 15th of 2016, I gave in. And July 15th, it'll be almost 2 years.
Unbelievable. What a journey.
Yeah. So here we are. I put a record out shortly after I got out. Went #1 on Billboard. Voted best new guitarist, and, all kinds of accolades that were just waiting for me to get me together. It was already there. So all they was waiting on for Eric Gales to get his crap together. And, I came out, went right on the road, and I said, babe, I'm dead serious. Let's keep moving. Let's go. I was like, man, I'm committed. Meetings still hit my meetings, bam, bam, bam. This is the guy that used to screw up all the time. This is my hometown. I mean, I've been locked up on Beale Street. 10,000 people saw me get carried away in a paddy wagon on Beale. 201 was a second home at one point. All kinds of dirt and grime happened here with me. And now I come back in a capacity with the Blues Music Awards, and, I think that my opinion about all the people that won and all the nominees, it's a huge honor. And I put a Facebook post out. It was before the awards even happened, and I said, man, to me, I said everyone, in my opinion, that got nominated is winning. And I said that if you have another day alive above ground to try it again, then you're winning. Absolutely winning. So I said, man, no, I didn't take away the award, but I put it like this, man, you know what? I have the opportunity to still go from town to town, to city, state to state, country to country, and tell my story. And I'm waking up doing it with a clean slate of mind. I have my wife back. I have my career right in front of me. My bank account's looking really nice, and everything else is all good. So in my opinion, that is winning. So in my honest opinion, everyone won last night that has their everything in front of them, and they can take hold of it and do it with a sane mind.
LaDonna, can you give us your perspective on this? Because coming into this relationship with a man you loved so much and seeing what was going on and finally learning about it, how was it for you?
Unbelievable. I would watch TV and would see it there, but I didn't know that I was actually going to live that life, with someone that I love so dear. It was scary. Times I thought that he wasn't going to wake up. Then I would have to be the one to tell the world. It was just so much pressure. But I did know, I prayed every night to my higher power. I prayed every night. And I just knew this was the man that you see now. The man that you see now is the man that I knew he would be. And I believed in him. And no matter what we went through at that time, I'm a Google freak. I'm on there trying to Google, well, why is he up for 3 days? Or what kind of drugs would have you up for 3 days? But I was naive to everything, and I really didn't talk to people outside of our marriage because sometimes, you just don't want everybody to know your business. But I'll just say this. I love my husband with all of my heart, and I asked God, I said, if this is meant to be, show me a sign. Lead the way. Tell me what to do. Show me what to do. And it's like a still voice just said, exposed.
Must have been hard for you to face this. How did you fool yourself for a while over this, or was this something that became apparent?
Absolutely. I fooled myself for quite some time, you know, and I wanted to, you're married to someone, so you want to believe everything that they say. But after a while, you know, I had to realize that it wasn't him that was telling me the lies. It was the disease. So I had to, you know, find some strength, and I did reach out to someone that we call a band mom. She's like seen everything. She travels to come and see us, and I reached out to her, and she was just like, hey, I know of this support group, and I'll go with you so you can understand this a lot better. And once I went there, it's like strength came from nowhere, and I was like, exposure is the best thing, because we've hidden this for so long. And I feel like the more people that know about it, he can't hide anymore. So
There's a lot of freedom in that, though, right?
weight lifted. You don't have to pretend anymore.
You almost left. It got that bad?
Yes, it got that bad. We were on tour, actually, and it was one particular gig we had to go on. He had a whole band. It was like 7 of us. But for this particular gig, they only booked 3 flights. So he only left for one night to go and do a festival. And when he came back to me the next day, he was out of his mind. And right then and there, I said, enough is enough. I can't stay out in California for pre-production. I'm going home. And when I went home, I packed everything. And exposure came out on the social media, everything. And when he came home, finally, he was like, whoa, what is this? I said, until you learn to love you, there's no way you can love me. And I can't watch you just not exist anymore. So he told you the story. He went on to rehab. I didn't believe it at all. When he asked to stop to use the bathroom, I was like, oh, this is it. He's not coming back. But he did. And when we got there and they said he couldn't walk me to the car, like, I had 7 hours to drive back home just boo-hooing, crying. I had to call my mom. That was something else. I was proud of him, but it was like we really never been apart before. And he spent 30 days, and, you know, I was there every week to visit him. I went to the family. They have a 3-day program. I went there with him. And from then I told him, you know, we have to look forward. We can't look backwards. It's all about moving forward one day at a time.
Eric, you're still in a world that unfortunately includes a lot of people doing drugs of various kinds. And you're dealing with musicians, many of which have their own addictions and their own very serious issues and still carry on. How is it to be around that, given your recovery?
That's a very good question, and to be honest with you, it absolutely bothers me not one bit. It really doesn't. What they drink and what they smoke or what they toot don't get me high. So I just know absolutely what I can't do, and I just don't do it. I got people out there that aren't aware of me and my recovery situation, and I never would have thought it'd have been this easy for me to say, you know what, no, I can't do that. You know what I mean? And I thought that would have been the hardest thing for me. But man, you know, in the beginning, I would run and tell my wife, babe, I told this person that I don't do that no more. You know what I mean? I'm proud of myself that you know what I'm saying? Because I was Eric Gales. I'm addicted to here, try this. If you had something, I'm addicted to trying it. You know what I mean? But now, you know what? No, I'm in the program. I say it in a heartbeat. Oh, I'm sorry. No, you do your situation. It doesn't bother me at all, man. It doesn't bother me one bit. Fortunately, I got some band members that ain't out of hand with what they do, and they respect me, and you know, I tell them, man, y'all good, you know, such, as long as it doesn't ail or take away from what I need you to do for me on that stage, and being upstandable, you know, and making lobby call and all that, bro, y'all not bothering me, you know what I mean? And but I still don't, you know, I took all the alcohol off my rider and everything. I mean, that was like big for me, because like I was like, man, I don't need to be taking. I mean, I ain't gonna drink it. I'm cool. But then my wife was like, no, let's just go and wipe the slate clean and just go on, you know, no alcohol on the rider. You know, even though I'm playing in a club that they sell alcohol, so it doesn't bother me. Just to be honest with you, it doesn't bother me. You know, and the more I get, the more I'm diving more in, and as more time get under my belt, I ain't gonna say it's getting easier, but it's definitely nowhere near difficult as, it's getting lighter. I'll put it like that. It's like now I can't believe like the Eric Gales that was born into this world with no addictions at all has finally come back to surface at almost 44 years old. And it's amazing for me.
For someone who's using and has some addiction problem, and it might be substance, it might be a non-substance addiction, because they come in all forms.
They do.
If someone out there listening is telling themselves, hey, it's working for me, I'm still out doing my thing, and maybe it didn't work for Eric and LaDonna, but it's working for me. Do you have any insight for them to consider?
I can tell you this, that person that's saying it's working for me, I said that for a long time. Like any kind of way you can think about it. No, I'm just gonna smoke weed and such this and this and that. In my mind, it was working for me. Clearly it wasn't. That's just me. All I can tell you, man, is all that has to happen is the realization that and only you will know. Seeing your family members pass away in front of you, seeing your friends die in your arms, all these things happen to me. Seeing all kinds of, like, your bank accounts deplete to complete zero to negative in front of your face and you're not worried about it. Seeing all kinds of stuff, seeing your physical health diminish to a pencil stick, seeing your hygiene lose all the way, you're not taking no bath for a month at a time, you're borrowing clothes, you're stealing, all of that, and that's comfortable for you until you realize that shit is not working. That's the only way that you're going to find out that I can't do it no more. And that's just, I didn't mean to get so loud, but it's the truth. Once you realize that that's not living, that's the only way you're going to find out that it ain't working.
There's a great saying that I love to always quote that you've heard before. If you save one life, it's as if you've saved the world.
Absolutely.
And I think you both have saved so many lives.
Hey, we just keeping on pushing on, man.
You do. And you are two of the most beautiful people I've ever met.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
In so many very deep ways.
Thank you.
And I'm almost in tears.
Oh. I have one more quote, though, that may or may not relate to, I think it's a life thing, and I've been saying this every other day. I like watching these detective shows, Criminal Minds, Law and Order, stuff like that. And at the end of Criminal Minds, they give a quote, and they gave one the other day, and it has stuck with me. Now I've started saying it in my shows. And this is about life. And if I'm not mistaken, this was a quote from Abraham Lincoln, believe it or not. He said, and I think it's so profound that you'll find yourself saying at the end of it, and that's a wrap when I get through saying it, is that it's not the amount of years in your life, but it's the amount of life that you have in your years. And that's a wrap.
We love you both.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for taking the time to share this with us. It means so much to me.
Thank you.
It means so much to our listeners.
It means a lot to us, too,
Yes,
man.
it does.
This is awesome, man.